What's the weirdest sex act you've ever done alone? Every year I help my dad with Christmas lights. I climb up on the roof and carefully clip all of the lights onto the peaks. I grew up in a conservative house and only recently discovered how nice masturbating can be. Did you know that orgasms can help relieve period cramps? Who knew? Well, I have a particular fondness for the cowgirl position with my BF, but it absolutely destroys my knees. Sitting on my knees on a flat, even if it's soft surface, is difficult for me. So here I am, sitting on the warm roof, hanging lights on my house. When my dad walks inside to get something, I'm straddling a roof peak, all alone. The neighborhood is quiet and I can see there's no one outside. I'm at an angle where I can't be seen from the ground anyway. My knees are at the perfect angle to not hurt in this position, and suddenly thoughts of the BF enter my head. I just start rocking back and forth on the peak of my roof. When my dad came back out, I was in a much better mood. Tried to suck my own dick, managed to get the head in my mouth, did not feel like a blowjob, hurt my back. 2/10 do not recommend. Edit. This is my first ever post or comment to ever get a reward. Classic Reddit that it is about sucking my own dick. Wonderful, thanks guys. I was quite horny in my early teens, so I looked up innovative ways to masturbate. As it seems, if you hollow out a cucumber and microwave it, it does not feel like the inside of a vagina. I was left with the most disgusting vegetable you've ever seen and a memory that lives under the surface of my dignity. Not the act itself, I guess, but the event as a whole. We lived in the sticks, and internet shopping wasn't really a thing back then. Not that we had internet anyway. I was a horny but resourceful teenage girl, so I whittled myself a penis-like dildo out of a piece of firewood, sanded it, and varnished it. I was around 14 to 15 at the time. I tested it out once without a condom, and freaked out about the potential toxicity of the varnish, then used a disposable latex glove because there were no condoms in the house and the thought of buying them was mortifying. In the end, I was too paranoid about it being found, so I tossed it into the fire the next time the fireplace was lit. Poured shampoo down my urethra, thinking it would generate some sort of pleasure. Narrator, it did not. I kind of have this fetish where the idea of being experimented on, or being the product of a Frankenstein's monster kind of experiment, is a big turn on. I also have a fetish for being forced to drink liquids, so one day I decided to try combining the two. I set up some spooky green lights in my living room, then take some plastic tubing I have from other hobbies and make myself a siphon, with one end down my throat a little ways, and the other in a big ass cup of Gatorade sitting on a table above me. May as well hydrate, am I right? I laid down on my back, with a towel under me, and just kind of let the siphon go. It didn't last long. The weight changed so rapidly the tubing pulled the glass over, spilling the like half-gallon of Gatorade all over me and my carpet. I had put towels down, but it was just so much it still soaked through. So here I am, sitting in the middle of my living room, naked, covered in Gatorade like an asshole. It wasn't a highlight of my solo sexual exploits, but it's a good story I don't ever get to tell. Lol. Saw a thing in a hentai, decided to try it out, gave myself a UT and thrush. If you're gonna fuck a bottle, make sure to sterilize it first. Fucked myself with a shampoo bottle on facet time with my ex. With my dead hands I have a neurological condition, flailing about uncontrollably, was horny. In retrospect, not the sexiest I've ever looked. I tried to use hand sanitizer as lube once, don't try it. Yellow mustard is not a great lube. Made a fake vagina with a rubber glove, empty pasta sauce jar, a bath sponge and a rubber band, then fucked it for weeks as a lonely teenager. When I was in middle school I ended up in in-school suspension, where I was essentially locked in a supply closet with a desk in it for a week and a half. The supply closet was connected to the principal's office, but no one really came in to check on me besides at lunchtime when it was mandatory to bring their closet prisoners food. Anyways, that closet turned into my masturbatorium. Very important masturbatory studies and experiments were conducted in my time there. Very scientific and groundbreaking work was headed by myself and my assistant right-hand woman. Great assistant and still with me to this day. Years later, when I was in high school, I returned to speak with the new principal of that middle school about supplies for a club project I was working on. I went into the closet where the desk was to gather a few boxes she prepared for me. Lo and behold, I noticed, for the very first time, a camera trained right on the fucking desk. To this day I have no idea if that camera was there while I was in there. It's the exact same as the rest of the cameras in that school, so I feel like it has been. I used a wooden sword as a dildo when I was a teenager. At age 8 on vacation in Spain with my family, I made love to a Smarties tube, got my penis stuck, and then my brother busted me. He still call me Mr. Smarties sometimes. I'm 26. Got so horny that I masturbated with a carrot and went to see my then BF with the carrot still inside me. 20 mins bus ride, just to be greeted by his mom at the door. Noped the fuck out of there even before entering his place. Edit. Wow, thanks guys. I once took a soup spoon up my bum, the handle, with some Vaseline lube on. After I had to throw out the spoon, I just couldn't look at it again the same way. Edit. Changed the trademarked Vaseline to lube as it was a regular sex lube. Tied my own legs to the bedposts behind my head, but I tied them too tight, so I had to cut myself out with a mechanical pencil on my nightstand. It took about 20 maybe more like 15 minutes. In middle school, I once got a postcard from a girl I was super into. I'm pretty sure it was a generic BDAY card. Anyway, I was so excited that I opened the card, cut a hole in the middle and tried to fuck it. Didn't go well. Do not recommend. Highly uncomfortable and painful. I wanted to make my own fleshlight, so I took the tube out of a roll of toilet paper and dunked the TP into warm water. I then put my dick into this warm mass of wet toilet paper. It felt decent but made such a mess, and the post-nut guilt was something else. My grandmother, bless her soul, was the sweetest, most innocent woman you'd ever met. She would stay with us sometimes and help out around the house. One year, for Christmas, she bought me a pack of hankies. Obviously confused, I wanted an explanation. She said to me that I need to use hankies to blow my nose into, instead of all my clothes, because she did the washing and saw all the crusty stains on them. I am sorry, Grandma. I am really sorry. One time when I was like 11, my PS2 controller glitched out and it just vibrated non-stop. That's all I'll say. On a long and boring car trip to Colorado with my grandparents and aunt, my grandfather was driving and my grandmother was in the passenger seat. My aunt was in the back seat with me, chatting animatedly with Grandma. 13-year-old me was extremely bored horny. I had a blanket and tented it over me in a way that made any visibility of motions impossible, so I went to work with quiet intent. As I was about to finish, I noticed everyone got quiet in the car, which shook me from my silent revelry. I looked over to see my aunt, looking at me, with an odd look on her face. Queen's Another One Bites the Dust was playing on the radio. Apparently the blanket had slid somewhat, revealing my angry meat rocket in full launch mode, but only visible from her perspective. She didn't say a word, thankfully, but before I could even cover myself, Grandma said, "Everything okay back there?" At that moment, confused and in shock, I nutted all over the inside of the blanket, spewing to the sound of the beat. My aunt and I never spoke of this, but I couldn't look her in the eyes for a few years. Sorry. Piv, penis in vacuum. I was going through puberty. Once when I was a young teen, I wanted to know what my cum tasted like, but licking it off my hand seemed gross, so I jerked off into a toasty toast scoop and then ate it. It would take me years to realize that cum is both salty but not that salty. Spent a whole day during school break lazy, in bed, seeing how many times I could ejaculate. The answer for 17-year-old me was 12 times. 44-year-old me has not yet repeated the experiment, but my guess is once. Fucked a cabbage. I used a soft fishing lure as a dildo and lotion as lube. Got super freaked out after I was really high and paranoid, so I called poison control thinking I was going to die from the chemicals on the lure. Lol. A friend of mine really loves to tell the story of when he was a young horny teenager, and his mom had left a tuna fish sandwich for him after mowing the lawn. It was sitting on the counter, fresh, not cold, and he was inspired by the smell to take it into the bathroom, where he literally fucked the tuna sandwich. Mortified by what he had done, he flushed it down the toilet and ate a bag of chips. It's his proudest, saddest moment as a kid.